Well, I hope you can hear me. I'm driving back home from work. I'm very sick, if I'm being honest. Like, my head is hurting, and coughing makes me feel like I'm gonna throw up. My nose, I woke up in the morning, just blood everywhere, because I think I got too dry from mouth breathing, because I couldn't breathe through my nose. I did find a way to like breathe properly through my nose while sleeping, and it's like I do this. You see how my tongue, the tip of my tongue's like out? Like it helps me keep my tongue pressed up against the roof of my mouth, and it lets me breathe through my nose. Relatively easy instead of struggling to do so. And yeah, it's been a long day. I don't think it was a bad day. I think it was just my body is. I was looking at my fingernails and they were purple, and I'm like, that's not good, because I was feeling shivering all day in the office, just cold, and like my body just aches so bad. Even my coworkers are telling me, hey, go home, and I'm like, like, you guys are still gonna call me or send me an email if I'm at home, so I might as well be here, you know? It's less lonely than being in the house by myself. But yeah, I worked. I wanted to make this video. And it's more of like a muscle, you know, like getting into the habit of making videos, because like I used to do that a lot, and I used to not care, like, oh, let me post it, if it goes, it goes. But then recently I recorded a video where I was singing while I was playing Elden Ring, and I heard some of myself, and I was like, you sound terrible. And I mean, I know I'm a terrible singer, but it's like, like, caught in 4K, you know? Like, Jesus Christ. That's a pretty face. That's a song, sorry. But yeah, feel really bad. And making this video, it's actually not even about, like, it started off, like, off topic, let's be honest. But it's mostly about, like, a web novel that I'm rereading. And I say rereading because I've already read it before, you know. It was actually one of the web novels that I legitimately enjoyed tearing through. When I hyper focus on a book, like I'll easily read like 1,000,000 words within a day or two, you know, because like the story just excites my imagination so well that I zoom in and I lock in. And this web novel, I think I brought it up before, it's called The Second Coming of Gluttony, or The Second Coming of Greed. And it follows I want to say that it's not your typical web novel, because it does have elements of time travel, but I feel like the protagonist isn't exactly what you would describe as a proper protagonist, at least not in the beginning, right? Like later towards the end, you know, like as everything falls into place, like, you know, you have your standard, like, oh my god, he's so overpowered, like, what will we do? And then, you know, your hijinks where like it's like things go bad, but then all of a sudden, like, you know, there's a twist, and like, you know, the hero wins the day, you know? Like, I'm sorry that's a bit of a spoiler, but I feel like a lot of web novels, like, you read them and like you kind of know it's almost like a power fantasy most of the time, you know? And I'm not really holding back on spoilers because, well, I really want to. I'm gonna be vague enough where, like, if you haven't read it, like, you're gonna be like, oh, okay, that's what happened, or well, this is why he said that if you read it. But it won't be to the point where like you won't be able to read it and enjoy it if I say stuff, right? And what I like about the protagonist is that he starts off as, quite honestly, a piece of shit. He's a gambling addict, right? Now, I've dabbled in gambling. I don't like gambling with real world money because, well, I just don't usually win when I'm gambling with real world money. I've gambled with RuneScape money. Like I used to bet. I think back in the day it was a couple bills in the dueling arena. You know, fighting against people and like using my gold. And you know, sometimes you'd win and you would end up with I don't know, like like if you had 100 mil and you doubled it, like you had 200 mil. You know, if you had 1 bill and you doubled it, you had 2 bill. You know, I got to the point where I had multiple max cash stacks, but at the same time, because I was so addicted to gambling in the game, like I legitimately like lost everything. So what I would do is like I would earn it through killing monsters. I would level up all of my gear, and then I would gamble it on the way, right? Sometimes I would win and I'd get the max of the max gear, but then I'd get bored because I'm like, okay, well, I have everything I've ever wanted in the game. Like, what's the point of playing anymore? Because like the bosses are boring now because I have the max gear and I kill them and solo them by myself. I don't really need to work for money because, well, I have more money than I know what to do with. And yeah, like I gave plenty of gold to my friends, so like they all have a bunch of brand new gear, and I'm still bored. So like I would gamble it, and then like, you know, sometimes I'd get cleaned out. I'd go from having like the max gear all the way down to absolutely nothing. Like if you know, you know, there's in RuneScape there was a Polypore dueling arena, and if you I would get down to the point where I only had the Polypore staff and nothing else of worth in my bank, you know? So I just rebuild everything, you know? Like, okay, well, I sold all of my weapons for gold to gamble it, and okay, let's restart again, right? Eventually that cycle did get kind of old for me because, like, it was just, well, I mean, I've done it multiple times, and it kind of lost its charm. Yeah, it was exciting the first couple of times, you know, where I'm like, oh my god, I'm betting 1 bill, or oh my god, I'm betting 2 bill. But then it just got boring, you know, like, it's like, oh, I lost max cash stack, you know, it's like, oh, okay, well, I can make it again, you know, because it's a video game, it doesn't affect real life. Like, yeah, there was people who would sell the gold. I remember at one point I had enough gold that if I were to trade it to real world money, it could have been worth like a couple thousand, but that's besides the point. Yeah, like, so gambling, like, I understand that, and the protagonist was so addicted to gambling that he just alienated every single person that could have possibly have loved him. And as you read the story, you realize, like, they didn't abandon him. Like, it wasn't like he, like, fell into some pit and, oh no, poor him, like, they just abandoned him, they didn't try. No, like, they tried to save him over and over and over again until a point where like his own family looks at him and just calls him scum and a piece of shit because he's done so many things to them in just so he could gamble it away. Like one example is, like, he took his sister's car and sold it and used the money to gamble to see if he could win, and obviously he lost the money, and his sister was like, well, you know, like, fuck, like, that was my car, like, what the fuck, how could you do that? And there's so many, like, examples of that where the protagonist is just a huge piece of shit, but he's trying to redeem himself, right? And what I like about it is the progression of the forgiveness, right? Because, yeah, there's the whole idea of, oh, well, we're going to save the world. He's so much more powerful than all the other rankers or all the other characters. He's so special because of X, Y, and Z. But what I like about the story is, like, what I feel like is like a realistic progression of forgiveness, you know, on behalf of the family, on behalf of the people that he's hurt, right? Because the very first time he earns back a bunch of money, because he's, you know, initially, like, the story has progressed to the point where he just has, let's say in real world money, like a couple $100,000, you know, and he goes to his family and he goes and he gives them the money and he's like, here, take this, like, this is for all the debts that I've done. And the family, you would think, oh my god, thank you so much, I love you, like, thank you so much, because that's what you would imagine. Like, if he hurt them by taking away the money, then logically it makes sense that he's going to gain their forgiveness by giving the money back. But they don't forgive him at all. Like, they're like, you piece of shit, you're not my son any longer, how could you be here, go away, you think that this dirty money is going to help us, because they think that he won the money through gambling. And he's telling him, no, I worked for this, I have a good job, it's a very lucrative job. Part of it's a lie, part of it's true, but it's the idea of them requesting him approaching them, and them just completely and utterly rejecting him. And the rejection isn't minor, it is huge. Like I think he bought the sister like a laptop, and it's like the highest of the high-end laptops. She just takes it and chucks that shit out, because that past a certain point, it wasn't any longer about the money. It wasn't about the items that he took. It wasn't about any of that. It was about the fact that he betrayed their trust, that he took all of their love, and he took all of their trust and care, and just stomped on it over and over again. And he would lie. He would tell them, oh, I've changed, oh, I've banned myself from my gambling. And they've heard everything from him, where I've changed, I've gone this, please let me borrow this money, this is how I'm going to start working at. So many things that, like, his family just doesn't believe him. And there's this point, right, in the story where he's dejected because, honestly, he went to go see his parents on their anniversary, and his dad was like, get the fuck out, you're not my son, get the fuck out, in a very, like, it's like looking at him and saying, fuck you, get the fuck out, you're a piece of trash, you're scum, don't ever come into my house again. How could you have the balls to face us, to come see us? If you had any shame, you would disappear. Don't you understand? We don't want you. And his mom is like, oh, well, thank you. And his brother's like the one who sees, oh, he's trying to change. And he talks to him civilly, because like he went in to go check, like, hey, did he really stop gambling? Did he really get banned from gambling? Did he request a lifetime ban? All of these stuff, right? Because not everybody believes him, but some of his family wants to believe again. I feel like it's like, when you love somebody, even if they've hurt you over and over again, there is a tiny small part of you that's like hoping, please, just please, show me that the love that I have for you is justified. Because love is unreasonable. Love is, especially unconditional love, like, people could do the worst things to you, and if you have unconditional love for them, like, it won't matter. Like, it might not be a healthy love, like that. I'm not gonna say that that's the healthiest kind of love or the best kind of love, unconditional love, no. But it is a form of love. And there's other instances, where you watch as this relationship between the protagonist and his family slowly starts to get fixed. And there's this point where he gets into an accident, right? And his sister's been one of those who's like, nah, fuck this guy, I'd never trust him again, get the fuck out of my face, I hope you die. Just like really, really, really fucking hated him, right? And as you read the story, you understand why. If there was anybody whose trust it felt like he betrayed, it was his sister. Because, like, as an older brother, I have a little sister. Like the bond that you have with the little sister, especially if it's your only little sister, it's a very kind of like, the trust that you have there is explicit, And for that to be betrayed or to be broken, it's very hard to see it. And there's this point, right, where he's in the hospital and he's basically comatose, right? Nobody's responding, nobody's answering him, he's just like a zombie, right? And his sister, like, she hates him, but she still loves him. Like, hate and love are the same side of the coin, or like different sides of the same coin, Like, if you hate somebody, like, deeply, deeply hate, like, there's part of you that loves them. Like, it's hard to describe, because, like, let's say somebody, I'm not talking about loathing, because loathing and hate are two very different things. I feel like in my book, loathing is the absolute denial or the absolute need to destroy something, like something that you don't ever want to experience, see, any way, kind of, shape, or form, like, it is like the most powerful form of hatred, you know. But hate usually, it takes something for you to hate. You have to be let down by somebody in order to hate somebody, right? If you love somebody and they let you down, I can see why that love would turn to hate, because I had so much trust in you, I had so much faith in you, I had so many things for you, but you let me down. And that love, it doesn't know where to go, so it just turns into hatred, you know. And so basically he's in the hospital, and the sister is right there, right? And she's watching him, and she's saying, stop acting like, why are you, like, stop acting like this, you're not gonna fool anybody, because she's still spiteful, even though she came to visit him from the hospital, you know. And the reason he's in the hospital is because of a specific thing, right? And he actually gets to the point where he's going to kill himself. He's at the roof, right? And he's staring down, and there's another patient there with him, and they're both looking down, and they're about to jump off of the roof, right? And the other patient is guiding him to jump off of the roof. And he's willing to do so because he misses something deeply and integral to him, but he doesn't know what it is. But he knows that he's missing something, and that longing, that sorrow, that feeling of incongruity is so much that it gets to the point where he thinks, if I die, maybe this will be resolved. I don't have to feel this anymore, this sense of loss for something that was so special to me, you know? And he's about to jump. The other patient jumps, right? And he just sees her down there, but he doesn't care, like, he's still sad. But it's his sister who stops him from jumping. Like, she realized that he wasn't in his hospital room any longer, and he ran towards her, and she ran towards him to find him, and found him in the rooftop. And just as he's about to, like, step off of the rooftop, he manages to save her, you know. And it's a very emotional scene. And so as this is happening, they take him back to the hospital bed, and he's just sitting there blank, you know, like, and it kind of dawns on his sister, oh shit, like, he really wants to kill himself because, well, I don't know why, but, like, something's just wrong here. And she hates him, but she tells him, start gambling, you know, like, please, like, you used to love that, it used to bring you so much pleasure, because it was like a hedonism in a certain sense, you know, the gambling for him, it was just so much that he literally destroyed his world all around him. But she doesn't want to see him die, so she wants to give him something to live for, and it's like, start here. She took the laptop and put it in his lap and set like a roulette wheel, you know, and she's like, oh, press this button and, like, you're gonna start gambling again, it's gonna feel good, like, you're going to be okay, you know, because, like, she's just desperate at this point to do anything to keep him alive, because, well, death is final, you know. When somebody dies, that's the end. There's no more talks, there's no more possibilities. Death is one of the most permanent things in our lives. It is the most permanent thing in our lives. And she's trying to force his hand to do that, right? And he stops himself, and he's crying, and he's just begging, please don't. And it's just kind of like the growth from the very beginning of the story, where you see him how he was before things happen that made him change. And it's like, again, like, the progression of that particular how do I describe it? The progression of that arc, I think, is so very much hopeful in regards to people, you know, because, like, having people be addicted to things, like, there comes with a lot of shame, and then there's also comes a lot of feelings of hatred, a lot of feelings of disappointment, and sadness, and everything in between, you know, because, like, if somebody's truly addicted to something, no matter what you do, you can't save them. You can tell them to stop, you can do everything, you know, you can go right up until the point where you stop them from doing whatever addiction that they may have, whatever it be, drugs, alcohol, habits, X, Y, and Z, you know? Like, if somebody's a chain smoker, you can literally stop them from taking that smoke and, like, shove it out of their hand and, you know, tie them down. But that's not really you stopping them, that's restraining them from what they want to do, you know? And if they really want to, eventually they're going to find a way, because, like, they want to, you know? And again, it's just that it's a beauty of an arc, because in this point of the story, he's not supposed to remember anything. He's not supposed to remember the reason why he stopped gambling. He's not supposed to remember anything that happened throughout the story, past, present, or future. He's just supposed to be like this husk of a shadow of a man, you know? And even at that point, he knows he doesn't want to fall again, because the temptation never goes away. If you think about it, when you have an addiction or a temptation, you know, temptation isn't like, oh, like I can stand in front of these, like let's say you're very hedonistic and like you love physical, right, like sex and all that. Like, oh, I can stand in front of these girls, and like my willpower is so powerful that I will never do anything to them, or I'll never break or anything like that. But the temptation doesn't go away. Like, it's still there. Or like, oh, like I no longer drink alcohol, I'm not an alcohol drinker. But if you used to, like, the temptation is always there. And it's that idea of being able to overcome the temptation even when it's presented to you right then and there at your weakest, you know, that I think is so beautiful, because most of the time when we are sad, you escape, you know, whether you escape to work, whether you escape to the gym, whether you escape to different scenarios, different situations, drugs, people, places, things. You escape because you don't want to be in that sadness or in that place of sorrow, right? You're escaping. That's what it means. It doesn't matter where you're escaping to. And there's obviously healthier ways to escape, you know? Like, I'd rather you go to the gym and work out for 3 hours, you know, and use that as your escape than, like, to do crack or, like, fucking meth on the corner, you know? One is, if you're consistent enough and are careful and trained properly, it's gonna leave you like fucking jacked, you know, 45 centimeter arms. If you get that, you get that. But brazos de 45. Sorry. But yeah, like, you're still escaping, and it's that temptation that doesn't go away. It's all of that that's so brutal, but you see the hero overcome it. And I feel like there's not a lot of protagonists who are able or are placed in a situation to do so, right? I think there was a quote recently where I was reading it, and it's from like the Lord of the Rings, right? And it's from a dragon, and it's like, what's more admirable, right? Is it to be good because you are good, or to be evil, overcome your nature, and be good? Like, which one do you think took more effort? Because don't get me wrong, like, if you save the village, it doesn't matter if you're good or bad, you saved the whole village. That took a lot of time, effort, and skill, resources, right? But if initially your inclination is to destroy, if initially your inclination is to give into that temptation, and because of the way that the story is shaped, you already see at the very beginning a future where he did give into that inclination, where he only cared about that gambling. Things didn't go as good as they go in the web novel. Like, it doesn't end well. And again, like, it's just reading the story, enjoying the moments of like laughter, you know, because he interacts with a lot of people. The moments of realizing that even if he wants to fix things right away, like, he has to accept that, like, it may not happen, it may never happen, and even if it does, it's going to take a really slow and careful time. And I can tell you that from my personal experience, I've been in the zone where I tried to fix things too fast, and instead of fixing things, I broke them, you know? So reading the story, watching it play out, it gives me even inspiration for my own life to be like, oh, well, I have to slow down. I have to be accountable to myself. I have to take care of myself. I have to go to sleep on time. I have to do the little things that I don't necessarily want to do, not because I'm doing it for somebody else, but because I'm taking care of me. And by taking care of me, I'm able to take care of those that I love. And I'm sure I'm gonna make mistakes, and like the protagonist makes mistakes, like he catches himself, or other like people are like, you're kind of stupid doing this, or why the fuck would you do this? But he grows, he learns, he doesn't just stay stuck and stay stubborn and say, oh well, it's because I had to or because I wanted to. No, like he analyzes, oh my god, I could have died, I could have done this, why did I do that, why did I place myself in this situation? And again, there's times where I see that in myself, because I'm like, fuck, like you had all this shit and look at what you did with it. Oh shit, like I was wasteful, now I'm struggling with this. I stayed up too late, now I don't feel good the next day for work. Things like that, you know. So yeah, if you ever get the chance, I really would recommend read The Second Coming of Greed. It's pretty easy to find. Just look up either The Second Coming of Greed or The Second Coming of Gluttony, and just free. Some web novel website will pop up and show you. There's a couple of really cool websites that like read it to you. That's actually one of my favorite ways to read web novels. It's because I'm going back and forth, so I hit play and I can just hear the story as it's happening, you know. I can read much faster, but like I don't always have the opportunity to sit down and read it. So being able to listen to it while I'm doing other tasks is really helpful. And because I already know most of the story, I'm not like, oh my god, what did happen or what did I miss? And the story is so good that sometimes I am like, okay, I need to reread this again because this was badass. But yeah, I think that's about it. I'm almost home. I've been driving now. Oh god, my throat, my head. For about 26 minutes now. That's how long it takes for me to get home. I was gonna do some other stuff with an associate and like work together on some projects, but right now this just isn't it. Like I genuinely feel bad and I need rest. I need a hot long shower and I need to lay down in bed, close my eyes and go to sleep because I still feel cold. Like I've had the heater on this entire time and I barely feel like normal. But I know as soon as I open the door and I step out there, because it's like 61 degrees, and I know that's cute for people who live in really cold weather. Like I'm in Cali, like forgive me. 61 degrees, like my room is gonna be cold. Like I'm gonna be shivering, or I'm gonna have a hard time sleeping unless I take like some NyQuil or bundle myself up with like 8 blankets. But it'll be fine. I'll survive. I haven't died yet. Hopefully I won't die soon. Yeah, welcome to my TED Talk. Thank you for watching. Thank you for spending this time with me while I'm driving home and like letting me vomit out my thoughts. I know sometimes they're not very articulate, or it feels like I jump around a lot, but I'm learning, and I hope you will enjoy seeing the way that I learn. So take care, goodbye, be safe, and I'll see you the next time I feel like doing something like this, because I say I want to get into the habit, but quite frankly, it doesn't always happen. Bye.